In this part 4 video, let's talk about how to install and configure Puppet Discovery at some high level. This part would be useful to technical users. Initially, I was planning on doing a fresh installation and configuration from scratch and capturing it in video. Since the overall video, including all parts, is becoming so longer, I'm planning to stay at some high level in this section. We'll walk you through Puppet and Docker docs and give you some useful pointers here and there. Please let us know if there is any interest to see a detailed installation and configuration. Accordingly, we can produce one such video. If you go on to Google, search for Puppet Discovery Docs, you would see this link. Let's take a look at the architecture real quick. This would be helpful for sysadmins, so you understand Puppet Discovery components, at least at the high level. These are the different components of Puppet Discovery. Each component runs on its own Docker container. PD UI, ingress, licensing, PD Vault. This is where all our credentials, AWS credentials and other credentials that you would configure, that's gonna get stored encrypted. PDH controller, PDP. Obviously, before you install Puppet Discovery, you may want to check the system requirement. Typically, Puppet Discovery, Puppet Enterprise, in my experience, that goes well with the CentOS. We are only talking about Puppet Discovery, Puppet Enterprise, where it can get installed. It supports all different OS, but it goes well with the CentOS in my experience. We are not talking about other hosts that Puppet Discovery need to explore or on a different product Puppet Enterprise has to work with. We are only talking about where you can install Puppet Discovery or Puppet Enterprise. Your version of Linux, what you need to have, your required hardware. On the supported browsers, you don't have Microsoft IE. That's kind of getting outdated, right? If you try it with IE, when it comes to Puppet Discovery Console, a lot of things are not working really well, and it's understandable that it's not even supported. Now we are looking at installing on Linux. I installed it on CentOS. That's a Linux machine. So as you can see here, you need to install and run Docker. So after you find a right appropriate server that you wanted to install, in my case I used AWS, so I looked at their system requirement and went and chose the right AMI and installed Docker first. I went with Docker CE. This is only POC for us at this point. So I started with the Docker Community Edition. So under the Docker link that's given from a Puppet Discovery, if you go there, you would find different OS and you can go click that link. Then you can find the system requirement for that particular OS. Then it also has instructions. If you have any old Docker, it suggests that you remove, and you can install your Docker by following the instructions here. You could set up the repo using this command. Then you can install Docker. There is also other option without setting up the repo and running, but typically that would fail. It would complain for there is no repo. So it's better you set up the repository, then run your Docker installation. This will use yum to get the Docker packages and install. The optional one, it says you could enable itch and test repositories. You don't really need it. I did not install. After you're done with the Docker installation, you would bring up the Docker, and also you can check to see if Docker is installed right, and it can run the Docker just fine if it shows this hello world. Then you can go on to rest of your Puppet Discovery installation. You would go download Puppet Discovery for the OS that you are trying to install, and you can get a 30-day trial license if you wanted to try Puppet Discovery for some time. And you need to set up an account and request for a license, a trial license. You get the license. Then once after you ship those installation file and the license file to the appropriate directory within your CentOS or whatever OS you choose, then you can start running rest of the commands here, and that will start installing. You would change permissions on the binary executable by using this command. Then you would run Puppet Discovery start. That would install Puppet Discovery. Post installation, after you bring up Puppet Discovery, it will say connect to localhost 8443. So you need to make sure that your security group, if you are using AWS for instance, your security group should allow port 8443 for the Puppet Discovery instance. On the inbound rule, you should open up that port. Then you can copy the public DNS name of your AWS instance and go to https://public DNS name :8443. Then it will take you to the login page, and as part of your installation you would give admin password, and that's the password you need to retain, and you would use it whenever you log into your Puppet Discovery dashboard. Then other thing when it comes to configuration, for instance, if you wanted to scan your AWS resources, you should be using your PEM file, the private key file that you downloaded from your AWS account. The original PEM file is the one that you would upload to configure your sources, and also as part of running tasks, you would be uploading your PEM file. If you are using PuTTY to connect to your instances, you would have generated a PuTTY keygen file. That's not the file that you wanted to upload. You should be uploading your PEM file. So here under their documentation, they have instructions to add your Amazon Web Service, Azure, GCP, adding your host credentials. Yeah, if you follow this, that should help you. Since I wanted to give a high-level summary on installation and configuration, I would just stop it here. If there is any need to give a detailed installation and configuration, we can do a separate video on that. Now let's move on to findings. That's one another part I wanted to touch.